Tonight, some relief on the horizon.
Well, it's better than a kick in the head, but I don't know.
How the federal government is looking to offset the rising cost of fuel and the mixed reaction from Winnipeggers. Also tonight, rivers on the rise.
It's more frustrating for me since I can't commute as easily.
Which areas in Winnipeg are already underwater and the response from the city. Plus, how tragedy was averted in southern Manitoba after a child was sucked through a culvert.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Drivers, some much-needed relief is on the way. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The federal government is temporarily cutting a tax on gasoline and fuel, and it's expected to save you 10 cents a liter on gas and 4 cents on diesel. Standing by with all the details for us is CTV's Jeff Keel. Jeff, you spent a lot of time at gas stations today. What are drivers saying about this news?
Well, as drivers pull into gas stations like this one here where the price is $1.79.9 per liter, the reaction is mixed. Some say anything helps when the price is that high. Others say this won't make much of a difference.
At $1.79.9 a liter, drivers don't mince words about the high cost at the pump.
Terrible. I don't know what to say about it.
I don't even want to think about what I would be spending per year.
Can't afford to do, to pay gas.
With the war in Iran driving gas prices up, some relief is on the way. The federal government is temporarily suspending a tax on gas and diesel starting next week until Labor Day.
This will remove up to 10 cents per liter on gasoline and 4 cents per liter on diesel fuel.
Some welcomed a 10-cent break at the gas station.
I mean, anything will help, right? Anything will help. Anything that makes it go down.
Well, it's better than a kick in the head.
Others say it won't make much of a dent.
That's a minor thing, right? I mean, 10 cents from $1.80, like that's not really helping anything.
Sounds like a political game to me. I don't think it's really going to make a big difference.
Still, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation says this cut is a good first step.
You'll be saving about $7 every single time you fill up a minivan, or about $10 when you fill up a pickup truck.
The CTF says the break should be made permanent and is calling on Manitoba to slash the 12.5 cent per liter tax on gas here. Premier Wab Kinew has mused about it.
But here in Manitoba, we're focused on you. That's right. We cut the gas tax once, maybe we'll do it again.
But it appears nothing is certain yet. A provincial spokesperson says the province continues to monitor prices. Those prices are even higher for truckers as diesel hovers around $2 per liter. So what does a 4 cent per liter break from the feds mean?
Does it have a large impact? No, but over time, it's going to save everybody a little bit of money.
This is estimated to cost the federal government $2.4 billion.
What about businesses, Jeff? What do they think about this temporary tax break?
Well, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business says it welcomes this, calling it a relief, but it says the federal government should go further, cut the GST from fuel taxes permanently.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. An incredible story of survival coming out of southern Manitoba tonight. Mounties say a 4-year-old boy is in stable condition after falling into a creek and being sucked through a culvert. It happened late yesterday afternoon on a property southeast of Winkler. RCMP say the boy was playing near a creek without his parents' permission when some ice broke away and he fell into the water. His older brother went and got his mom, who with the help of a neighbor managed to find the boy after he went through that culvert and pulled him to safety. His mother did CPR to revive him before paramedics arrived, and he was airlifted to a Winnipeg hospital. The Manitoba government says nearly 110,000 sandbags have now been delivered to Peguis First Nation as the risk of flooding looms along the Fisher River.
It's a bit of an all-hands-on-deck situation, just like during, the COVID-19 pandemic response, just like last year during the wildfire. So there's a number of folks on site right now, particularly in Peguis.
In its latest update, the province's Hydrologic Forecast Center says runoff in the Fisher River Basin will likely start early next week and peak between April 23rd and the 28th. The center warns a quick melt could result in flows reaching catastrophic 2022 levels. That flood forced more than 2,000 people in Peguis out of their homes. Manitoba's Transportation and Infrastructure Minister says her department is working with Peguis leadership, the federal government, and outside organizations to build dikes and protect homes in the Interlake. The Hydrologic Forecast Center is also warning of an elevated risk of overland flooding in the Parkland region. This is due to warmer temperatures expected in the coming days. The flood risk remains moderate to low for the rest of the province. Well, if you've been driving around the city and the Red River seems suddenly high, it isn't just your imagination. Water levels on the Red have risen sharply over the last week. CTV's John Hendricks has the details on why and how the city says it's prepared for what's to come.
If you're driving to La Barriere Park, expect a major barrier on the road. The bridge over the LaSalle River is now completely underwater.
This is only the beginning.
Meredith Greenall has lived close to the river for 15 years and says around this time of year, it can sometimes swell so high you can't even see the railings.
I used to take the school bus to school when I was in high school and elementary school, and it would have to come around because the bridge is flooded for like sometimes months on end.
The LaSalle isn't the only river in the city to rise recently. The Red River has jumped up 2 3/4 from levels recorded a week ago. The city says levels have gone up recently because of ice jams in the south and west parts of the city. As a result, Winnipeg is seeing a quick rise at the James gauge as jams let go and send a surge of water.
We're a city that has to watch flooding. We are in one of the largest basins that you've got here in North America, so this is a reality. We live by a river, rivers change.
In Fort Rouge, East Fort Garry Councillor Sherry Rowland says because of that long history with flooding, the city's emergency management department will be ready for this flood season.
Our emergency management office is equal to the task. We always are looking for, whereas other cities are doing SIMs, it's our reality, and we're lucky to have them.
The city says crews have activated flood pump stations, sealed manholes, and have been inspecting and closing river gates. Weeks of preparation to ensure Winnipeg can handle whatever Mother Nature throws at us. John Hendricks, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The province tells CTV News it has no plans to activate the floodway at this time, but as always, it says to stay tuned. Let's bring in Colleen Brady now. Get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Boy, when we talk about stay tuned, what a day weather-wise we had. There's snow, rain, some sun. What's the latest
We
tonight,
had it
Colleen?
all. Yeah, and finally, just like yesterday, the sun finally started to come out, at least over downtown, late in the afternoon. Temperatures started to warm up well above the freezing mark. So there's already been, obviously, a lot of melting, hence John's story. There's been more today, and whatever's left is going to go tomorrow because temperatures are set to soar across southern Manitoba. Meanwhile, a snowfall warning is in effect for snow heading for other parts of the province. As for the warm weather tomorrow here in the south, I'll just say this, don't get used to it. There's more snow headed our way as well. So more to come. Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it's starting to brighten up, but still cloudy out there. 8 degrees. Winds out of the south-southwest at 6 kilometers an hour. The pressure is dropping, and the humidity right now merrily is 69%.
Thanks, Colleen. The former operator of a seniors' care home in Winnipeg is asking a court to decide how much it will have to pay after the province expropriated its facility. Golden Door Geriatric Center was taken over in February after occupancy rates dropped, leaving 25 beds open. A statement of claim was filed last week against the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority. The documents say the center, which operated under the company Pembina Care Services Limited, told the health authority in March last year of its intent to permanently close. It alleges after negotiations with the province the province moved to expropriate it. According to the claim, the WRHA believes it's owed more than $1 million, while the center says it only owes $387,000. No statement of defense has been filed, and none of the claims have been tested in court. A spokesperson for the WRHA declined to comment. The Port of Churchill topped the agenda today as Manitoba's premier met with the Prime Minister in Ottawa.
You know, his initiatives around building out a big infrastructure in full partnership with Indigenous peoples in the Port of Churchill, top priority for our government, top priority for you.
Prime Minister Mark Carney and Premier Wapkanu held their second quarterly meeting on the Churchill Plus project. It follows the signing of a collaboration agreement on environmental and impact assessment, which will streamline regulatory processes to minimize duplication and uphold Indigenous rights. Discussions also included Churchill's strategic role in defending Arctic sovereignty, federal health funding support for Manitoba's agricultural industry, and help for possible flooding on Peguis First Nation and the Interlake. The Manitoba government is directing millions of dollars in additional funding to the CFS system.
And we've heard very, very clearly that the system is needing dollars, and we were able to do that this year in 2026 budget. So I'm very happy to announce, again, $29.2 million for child welfare.
This includes nearly $19 million for the cost of care and services, $3 million for agency worker wages, and more than $7 million for increased maintenance rates for caregivers. The province says this pushes total funding for CFS services to $458 million. A group of Manitoba international students and workers are calling on the province to once more extend work permits.
We just wanted to know we are suffering. We need the extension like as soon as possible.
A few dozen people gathered on the steps of the legislature to call attention to the issue. They say work permits for around 6,000 people are set to expire this year, and they're hoping the province extends them as it did in 2025. But the workers haven't heard anything official yet, and they say it's causing some concern.
We are working every day, but on top of that, we have to consider our status here in the country. So that gives a lot of psychological burden as well.
Once a permit expires, the workers say they only have 90 days for it to be approved once more before having to leave the country. A renowned Winnipeg philanthropist and volunteer has died. Tannis Richardson passed away at the age of 99. James Richardson and Sons Limited made the announcement today in a news release. Richardson was described as an accomplished community leader and champion of arts and culture. She held numerous board appointments and was involved with the Kidney Foundation of Manitoba, International Society for Heart Research, the United Way, Ronald McDonald Children's Charities, and the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. Richardson also was instrumental in the development of the Winnipeg Art Gallery. She was the recipient of numerous awards, including being named a member of the Order of Canada in 2003. In 2020, she published an autobiography called Vignettes from My Life. University of Manitoba researchers are getting a boost to improve patient-oriented research at the Centre for Healthcare Innovation. The Canadian Institutes of Health Research is extending funding for 2 years for Manitoba's strategy for patient-oriented research support unit. $2.6 million in federal funding will be used to strengthen collaboration between patients, caregivers, researchers, and decision makers to improve outcomes. It will also help build on Shared Health's Patient and Family Advisor Network, Indigenous health partnerships, researcher training, and patient perspectives in health decisions. The Manitoba Métis Federation's plan to become a major supplier of wind energy appears to be another step closer to reality tonight. The MMF has settled on a site near Neepawa for the 200-megawatt project. It would encompass a large plot of land north of Neepawa and Minnedosa. The organization expects it to include anywhere between 28 and 36 wind turbines and employ some 300 people during the construction of it. It adds it already has preliminary meetings with officials from the RMs of Minto-Odana and Rosedale. The MMF is hosting an open house at the Polonia Community Hall tomorrow night between 5 and 8 for anyone interested in learning more about the project. Still to come tonight, a meaningful measure or not far enough.
Not good enough. Canadians cannot afford to gas their tanks.
Coming up, we get reaction from the opposition and analysts as Mark Carney waives the federal gas tax. Plus, we take a closer look at Carney's new majority government and what it means for both the Liberals and the PCs going forward. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil dropped $7.80. The Canadian dollar rose 0.3 cents. Gold jumped $82. The TSX added 223 points. The Dow Jones is up 317 points, while the Nasdaq gained 455 points. Returning to our top story tonight, Mark Carney's announcement to temporarily suspend the federal gas tax. It affects gas, diesel, and aviation fuel, and it means when you go to fill up your car starting Monday, you'll pay 10 cents less per liter. CTV's Abigail Beeman breaks down what finally convinced the Prime Minister to help struggling Canadians.
Fresh off 3 by-election wins, Mark Carney's first act as leader of a now majority government suspending the federal gas excise tax.
It's real relief for you and your family at the end of the day.
Starting Monday, expect to see pump prices drop by 10 cents until Labor Day, 4 cents for diesel and aviation fuel also included.
This is a big decision in terms of fiscal expense, and so we balance that given the situation.
The Prime Minister pegs the cost at $2.4 billion, hoping things will improve in the Middle East before the end of summer. The war led to a massive gas price spike.
Not good enough. Canadians cannot afford to gas their tanks. We want all gas taxes eliminated for the rest of the year to save Canadian families $1,200.
It's a temporary quick fix.
This analyst says to lower prices long term, you need to lower demand, which means keeping prices high.
But the federal government has decided to take the easy route and wave a 10-cent drop in front of the electorate. Good luck with that.
While many Canadians across the country tell us every cent counts.
It's disgusting. Poor people that need their cars to go to work every day or bring their kids to nursery. It's not fair.
Even just like when your car is at a red light for too long, you're like, oh my goodness, my gas is running out.
Bravo to Mark Carney.
Next week is going to be 10 cents cheaper.
Right. That's why I got $15 today. Usually I fill it.
I think it's good, but I think it should be for all the time.
CTV News also reached out to the airlines, which all say relief is welcome. Air Canada said it can't predict future prices with a volatile Middle East. WestJet said more measures are needed for meaningful relief, while Porter said the drop will have an impact on overall operating costs and be represented as part of total airfare. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A complete sweep of 3 by-elections yesterday gave the Prime Minister his majority, but it also highlighted sliding support for the Conservative Party under Pierre Poilievre. And while we have to be cautious in projecting by-election results onto a leader's broader political standing, they are a report card on a party's ability to mobilize voters. And as CTV's Rachel Aiello reports, it's something the opposition didn't ace last night.
After scoring an electoral hat trick, Prime Minister Mark Carney hit the ice today, recharged. Not the case for Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who, after being dealt double-digit defeats in all 3 by-elections, felt compelled to assert he's not going anywhere.
I will continue to lead that fight in this House, across this country, and in the next election.
The Conservatives' vote share shrunk by more than 10% in all 3 ridings, even dropping to 3rd place in the downtown Toronto race.
I think for the Conservatives, the message that they should be receiving last night is whatever their strategy was doesn't work.
While Conservatives say these 3 ridings were not Poilievre's to win, they know the downward trend isn't a good sign for the party.
It leaves them in a less, well, let's say a weakened position relative to where they, have been.
If you were Mr. Poilievre, would you quit today?
I don't. That's an unfair question. I can't look into the heart of Mr. Poilievre. I respect him as a parliamentarian, as I do the other leaders of the other parties.
In closely watched Terrebonne, the Conservative decline boosted both Bloc Québécois and Liberal votes.
We lost because they had more votes than we did.
It was a slightly better night for the NDP. While support for Avi Lewis's party slipped in Quebec, their vote share was up in both Ontario ridings, including University Rosedale, where the NDP candidate placed 2nd.
I think that it's a massive opportunity for the NDP under Avi to say, if you want the government to worry about regular folks, we're the party to do that.
A Carney majority does give the opposition parties more time to improve their political fortunes. But if any more Conservative MPs cross the floor to the Liberals, the fate of Poilievre's political future may rest with his caucus, who today said they still support him. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
British Columbia is marking a grim anniversary tonight. It was 10 years ago today that province declared its drug crisis a public health emergency. The public health emergency was declared in 2016 to mark 474 drug deaths. Since then, 18,000 more people have died of overdoses. Advocates say the crisis is far from over and governments still aren't doing enough. Israel and Lebanon have agreed to hold direct negotiations at a mutually agreed upon time and place. The announcement follows a trilateral meeting in Washington today hosted by the United States.
We discovered today that we're on the same side of the equation. And that's the most positive thing we could have come away with. We are both united in liberating Lebanon from an occupation power dominated by Iran called Hezbollah.
It was the first talks between Israel and Lebanon in decades. Both sides said today's discussions were positive, but it's not clear if they reached any common ground. The Lebanese ambassador called for a ceasefire during the meeting, as well as the return of displaced people. She also wants measures to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Lebanon caused by the conflict. Israel entered the talks, ruling out discussion of a ceasefire and demanding Beirut disarm Hezbollah. Israel says the Lebanese government made it clear it will no longer be occupied by the Iran-aligned militia group. U.S. President Donald Trump says talks to end the Iran war could resume in Pakistan over the next 2 days. That was echoed by Gulf, Pakistani, and Iranian officials who have also said negotiations could restart later this week. Talks in Islamabad on the weekend did not yield an agreement, raising doubts about the fate of a 2-week ceasefire. Iran's nuclear ambitions were a key sticking point. And the collapse of those negotiations prompted Washington to impose a blockade on Iranian ports. More than a dozen American warships are involved in the operation, and U.S. Central Command says no Iranian ships made it past the blockade in the first 24 hours it was put in place. 6 merchant vessels turned back. Tehran has essentially closed the crucial Strait of Hormuz for oil and gas transport since the war began. Israel came to a halt today in honor of the victims of a stain in human history. Whatever they were doing, people paused as sirens blared on Holocaust Remembrance Day. 6 million Jewish people were murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators during the Second World War. There was also a wreath-laying ceremony today with the Israeli Prime Minister and other senior government officials in attendance. Holocaust survivors from around the world also participated in the annual March of the Living at the site of the Auschwitz concentration camp. Mark Carney welcomed Finland's president to Ottawa today for their first formal bilateral meeting.
There's so much synergy that we can have, and in many ways I actually see Canada as an honorary member of the European Union and the Nordics as well. So we'll be talking not only shop but also things related to Russia and Ukraine and probably the Middle East.
The two leaders were also expected to discuss trade, defense, technology, energy, and the Arctic. Last year, merchandise trade between Canada and Finland was valued at $2.4 billion. There's been a massive fire in China. It was in a parking garage where electric vehicles were being stored. The garage was used for test and scrapped vehicles. Electric vehicles burn differently and are more difficult to put out than fires in gas-powered cars. BYD is the major supplier of the 50,000 Chinese-made EVs that will be sold in Canada annually under a new trade deal.
Winnipeg is like an epicenter of storytelling.
And now one local Indigenous filmmaking group is looking at ways to expand its reach, and it could include giving new life to a historic venue. That story when we return.
Well, after sunshine, soaring temperatures, and melting headed southern Manitoba's way tomorrow, including Winnipeg, this is what it looks like by Thursday. A high of just 1 degree with flurries or freezing rain quite possible, particularly the freezing rain. More on that coming up. Snow likely at least in the morning on Friday, a high of just -1. -1 again on Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud. Sunshine Sunday up to 6 degrees, back up to 15 by Monday under a mix of sun and cloud.
A film school to call their own. That's what a group of Indigenous filmmakers would like to see here in Winnipeg, and they have their eye on an iconic downtown theater. CTV's Joseph Bernacki explains.
We made it! Charlene Moore loves being on both sides of the camera. Acting and directing are two of her passions. That's why she joined the Winnipeg Indigenous Filmmakers Collective.
Through the work of us coming together for a story, like something beautiful and magical happens every single time.
Every second Wednesday of the month, Moore and her fellow filmmakers meet here at the Winnipeg Film Group. She says collaboration is essential to get stories like theirs to the screen, projects often overlooked by the mainstream industry.
The scope of storytelling and allowing for voices who haven't been heard before to speak.
This week, members of the collective talked about purchasing this theater, the old Town 8 Cinemas building, which they imagine could be a hub for Indigenous film. The property has been on the market for more than 3 years.
A few of the collective members, our advisory group, are really thinking about opening up a film school. Like, we have skills, we know a lot of people.
Rachel Bolio is a director with more than 15 years in the business. She wants to give back to the community that helped launch her career by developing a space of their own. The tricky part? Financing a $2.25 million asking price.
I think it's a great use. The challenge always is getting the money together and finding the financing.
Rennie Zagalski from Capital Real Estate says a number of Indigenous filmmakers toured the property in the past couple of months, despite the hefty price tag. Still, Moore says it doesn't hurt to dream big.
Winnipeg is like an epicenter of storytelling, specifically with Indigenous filmmakers. Having that opportunity to showcase our work somewhere permanently would be amazing.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady is back now with your complete Skywatch forecast, and boy, are we in for a treat tomorrow.
We sure are, and we'll, as I mentioned earlier, any snow that's still left over by tomorrow after what's already melted by the end of today, well, that's going to go tomorrow. But there is a pretty potent low pressure system that is going to move through southern Manitoba as we get Thursday into Friday, which will bring more snow to the south, and as I showed you with the long range forecast, some considerably cooler temperatures. So enjoy tomorrow while those conditions last, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see those nice conditions return. Finally, we saw some sunshine in Winnipeg late this afternoon, just like we did yesterday, and clearer too. You can see pockets of cloud here and there across the south, but some sunshine as well. Northwestern Ontario, similar conditions there. That snow and that rain that came through Winnipeg and other parts of the south this morning, that's well east now of the Thunder Bay area, but as much as it's going to be sunny and we'll have soaring temperatures tomorrow in the south, there is a snowfall warning in effect for central regions. We could see as much as 20 centimeters fall in some of these areas. 10 to 20 centimeters is what Environment Canada is forecasting beginning overnight around Flin Flon and the Paw. And throughout the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night, the system is going to travel east. Now, depending on how fast it moves, we may see lesser amounts than that, but still it is possible that some areas could see as much as 20 centimeters of snow through central and parts of northern Manitoba tomorrow. But first, the snow that's already falling in the north tonight. So tonight is round one of 3 rounds, 3 low pressure systems that will be impacting Manitoba right now and in the next couple of days. Meanwhile, down here in the south, pretty quiet tonight. We'll see skies clear throughout the evening and particularly overnight. But then this is when round 2 comes in. This is that potent low pressure system that's going to impact primarily central and northern parts of the province, but more so central areas. So the track of tomorrow's system is expected to be a little further south than the track that's going through the north right now. Meanwhile, while there's snow in central areas, there'll be sunshine and soaring temperatures here in the south. Temperatures climbing close to 20 degrees in the sunshine as that snow continues to fall across these central areas, but also on the southern flank. Watch out for freezing rain and showers as well. Then that will continue into tomorrow night, but overnight we'll start to see some clearing further out to the west. Before further south, we'll have the 3rd low pressure system that will bring some freezing rain into southern Manitoba on Thursday morning. And as we go throughout the day, it's going to bring snow too. So you can see too, as we get into the afternoon, we'll see some freezing rain here in Winnipeg and likely into Friday morning as well, possibly with snow too. 2 is our low tonight, partly cloudy. Tomorrow up to 5, mostly sunny, strong south winds ushering in this warm air, taking us up to 19 degrees in the afternoon. Snow continuing tonight in Gillam and Thompson, a couple of centimeters tonight before much more headed to some of those areas tomorrow, particularly Island Lake. Could see 20 centimeters there tomorrow. Any snow still falling in Lynn Lake tonight will be ending soon. Meanwhile, overnight is when Flin Flon, OCN, and the Pas will see that snow move in tomorrow. Significant snowfall amounts expected there. Overnight tonight, showers expected in Swan River, drier through Dauphin, Neepawa, and Brandon quite clear, down to 1 degree. And then tomorrow, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud for most areas. But Swan River, that's not a typo, just 2, your forecast high. Meanwhile, 17 expected in Brandon in the sun. Winnipeg in the southeast, we'll see clearing for the most part. Well, Winnipeg will get there too overnight. We drop down to 2 degrees, 2, 3 around most areas. And then tomorrow, sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud with those areas. Steinbach, that should be 20, not 2 and a dash. I got a little excited there, I guess. Northwestern Ontario, you'll see fog developing overnight, but the strongest chance of showers is in Dryden and Fort Francis. Temperatures hovering close to freezing overnight. And then tomorrow, best chance of some showers is in Fort Francis with a high of 17. Well, it looks like Christmas has arrived in April. This is out in Stony Mountain. That photo was from Dan. He took that this morning. And then take a look at how snowy it was out in Carman. That photo was from Bev. Email us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. The reigning Canadian men's curling champions have added one of the country's most decorated curlers to their rink. Matt Dunstone's Manitoba team has announced Mark Nichols is joining its rink as the new second, replacing E.J. Hardman, who is retiring. Nichols was the longtime third for Brad Gushue's Newfoundland and Labrador rink. Curling with Gushue from 1999 to 2011 and then again from 2014 to 2026. With Gushue, Nichols won gold at the 2006 Winter Olympics in Turin and bronze at the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. He's been to 22 Briers since 2003, winning first place 6 times with Gushue. Well, there won't be any whiteouts in Winnipeg this spring. The Winnipeg Jets' slim playoff hopes came to an end last night at the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights.
You know what? It's a terrible feeling. We said at the All-Star break when we had our chance to have our little mini camp and kind of get ready for the stretch run, the 29 games. We wanted to put everything we could into it, and we went from 11 points down to 1 at one time, and it just it's a tough feeling. And I know the guys they're hurting. Everybody, we all want to be in the playoffs. That's what our job is and our role is.
The Golden Knights put on a dominating performance from the beginning, outshooting the Jets 10-3 in the first period, but failed to put the puck past Hellebuck. They finally did, though, midway through the second period, en route to a 6-2 win. Head coach Scott Arniel says it stings to not be heading to the postseason, while also acknowledging his team was missing several key players. On the positive side, it was a bittersweet evening for forward Mark Scheifele, who recorded a goal and an assist to set a Jets single-season scoring record with 101 points.
I'm very blessed. I play with some amazing players. Very blessed man. Just got to thank God for it all, and I'm proud of myself. And I know there's still more, so that's exciting.
But the action isn't quite over yet. The Jets still have 2 games to wrap up the schedule, including tonight's matchup with the Utah Mammoth. That game in Salt Lake City gets underway at 8 o'clock.
The Hockey Report, brought to you by Santa Lucia Pizza. Check out the game day special.
More benefits than just weight management coming up, what a new study says about some unintended but positive effects of GLP-1 drugs. Medical Watch is next. The Liberal government has pulled off something no other has done before. It's gone from a minority to a majority in between elections. Joining me now to discuss this historic win is Christopher Adams, adjunct professor of political science at the U of M. Chris, good to speak with you.
Oh, nice to be back with you again, Mary Lee.
A majority government for the Liberals. What do you make of how they got here through numerous floor crossings and then these 3 by-elections?
It's really quite something, you know, these folks crossing the floor, and they range ideologically from left wing, one from Nunavut for the NDP, and a number, Gladu, who is a very right wing, crossed the floor. And the candidates last night in the by-elections were very diverse as well. So it's been a very interesting couple of months to watch this, Mary Lee.
Yeah, this is still a slim majority, though. So I'm curious, what are the risks for the Liberals and the challenges as they move forward?
Well, there's a bigger buffer than what Carney really needed. He's at 174, I believe, which gives him a couple extra over the majority line. And he didn't want to just have a bare majority, because you have to have one MP sitting as the speaker, and the speaker then would have to vote on tie votes. So it's a little bit of a better majority than he could have expected. The other thing is that this has an impact on the committees. You know, when bills are put through the House, they go to the committees, and the committees are structured around the number of seats that the governing party holds. So now with the majority, that will likely turn into a change in the committees. So there's less chance of holding things up for Carney. But it is a very successful night for him last night, Mary Lee. And one thing that I take note of is that the three candidates who won, two in Toronto and one in the Montreal riding of Terrebonne.
Yeah.
Thank you. All three of them are women. And if you think, like 30 years ago, women candidates were called sacrificial lambs. They were often running in seats that were likely wouldn't be successful. But now we're seeing, like, many women in the past 10 years being very successful in politics. And last night, all three ridings were won by successful women.
Yeah, an important takeaway. All right, what does this mean then for Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives?
Well, it's not good news for Poilievre, especially with members of Parliament crossing the floor, because what that indicates that he's not successful with his caucus. He might have some issues in caucus, but also that MPs are looking to the doors if the polls are very low. You might remember when Justin Trudeau was very low in the polls, suddenly he had trouble with his caucus, and that might be the issue with Poilievre. You know, all the polls that we see, you know, from the various polling agencies have Poilievre is ranked as very low, in some cases 20 points less than Carney in terms of preferred prime minister. So it's a very tough time for Poilievre, but to his advantage, there's no one in the wings that we know about who is really looking to bump him out. It's not like Brian Mulroney bumping out Joe Clark many decades ago, or Paul Martin bumping out Jean Chrétien of the Federal Liberals some years ago. So there's nobody in the wings that I know of that really is poised to push Poilievre out, and that's good news for him so far, if he can last another year and have things turn around.
All right, the big news today, of course, the federal government's decision to cut the federal gas tax. What do you make of the timing of Mark Carney's announcement to do this, you know, just a day after getting this majority?
Well, I think he's taking a page out of Wad Canu's playbook, and there's a bit of star power for the premier these days. And I know they're meeting up this week in Ottawa, but I think it shows that Carney wants to deal with the affordability issue, and also, you know, the war on Iran is causing gasoline prices to skyrocket. So it's a bit of a populist measure. It only goes from April till September of this year, so Carney will have to reappraise, have things changed. But we know in the Manitoba revenues, that was a big hit. It was like a $300 and some million it hit taxpayers, or the provincial revenues. So Carney's taking a bit of a gamble on the books in doing this, but I think it's a popular measure for him.
Well, Chris, always great to get your take on these things. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Mary Lee. Take care.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says its investigation into a Salmonella outbreak linked to pistachios is still active, 1 year since recording the first infection. It says 26 people have been hospitalized, and the number of illnesses since March of 2025 has grown to 189. Illnesses had been reported as recently as last month. Canadians are being told not to eat pistachios imported from Iran. Illnesses have been reported in 6 provinces, including New Brunswick, as well as Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, Alberta, and right here in Manitoba. Not everyone on GLP-1 drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic drops weight. Clinical trials suggest about 10 to 15% of people who try them are non-responders when it comes to substantial weight loss. However, there is mounting evidence showing other health benefits from GLP-1 medications besides losing weight. GLP-1s can reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes and improve outcomes in heart failure, even when participants don't lose weight or gain weight. According to new findings from researchers at the University of Toronto, the drugs may also improve liver health. Their ability to tamp down inflammation may be a key reason the drugs help with heart conditions and kidney disease in ways independent of weight loss. A new study offers another way to ease depression symptoms: exercise. For some people, depression is a lingering issue, but new evidence suggests workouts of any kind, any intensity, and any length can help lift your spirits. In fact, exercise was as effective as medication or talk therapy at reducing symptoms of depression, including fatigue, trouble concentrating, and sleep issues. Strength training workouts appear to have the strongest benefits, but cardio work too. Though it can be hard to get moving at the start, finding a workout buddy or a group class can make the first step or bicep curl a lot easier.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
And even though they were all alone and very small against the sky.
The Little House on the Prairie returns. Coming up, our first look at the reboot filmed right here in Manitoba.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting the Fab Four, the ultimate tribute.
Winnipeg's contemporary dancers season is coming to an end, but it's closing things out with a new show exploring the theme of pressure. It's called Accumulation and explores what happens in life when things begin to pile up, both personally and professionally. It delves into the shared experience of modern life, specifically that feeling that something has to give.
Explore is sort of how we feel on the inside and outside when things just start to build up, pressure up.
Accumulation begins on Friday and runs through Sunday at the Rachel Brown Theatre. Tickets are available through Winnipeg Contemporary Dancers website. It's the remarkable true story of one woman's epic journey being brought to life on a Winnipeg stage.
It's September, and I've only made it to Chicago. There's no chance I can get through the Rockies to San Francisco before snow begins to fall, which means...
Ride the Musical is based on the true story of Annie Londonderry, who set out in 1894 to become the first woman to cycle around the world. It's making its Canadian premiere right here in Winnipeg Thursday, courtesy of the Winnipeg Jewish Theatre.
We have to tell this extraordinary story of Annie's cycle around the world with only things you would find in an office. So it's pretty fun to get to create the world in that way. But it is definitely a challenge to do it, only the two of us.
Ride the Musical runs from April 16th to May 2nd at the Bernie Theatre. You can find more details and tickets by visiting wjt.ca. The trailer was just released for a classic TV show reboot that was filmed in our province.
And even though they were all alone and very small against the sky and the stars, they were happy.
Netflix is out with the first look at the first season of Little House on the Prairie. It was filmed in Winnipeg and the surrounding areas. Based on the classic semi-autobiographical book of the same name, it tells the story of the Ingalls family, who tries to build a life in the American Midwest in the 19th century. It premieres on Netflix July 9th. Your Tuesday primetime lineup kicks off with Will Trent at 7. RJ Decker comes next at 8. And Caitlin Olsen stars in High Potential at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Well, after a snowy start to the day in Winnipeg, we finally got some sunshine late in the afternoon. We got up to 8 degrees, a little bit below the normal high of 10. That changes tomorrow, albeit temporarily. Down to 2 tonight. The sky clears this evening. 19 on Wednesday afternoon under a mix of sun and cloud. And then 1 degree on Thursday with flurries and freezing rain all possible. We could see more freezing rain and snow on Friday. Back to the sunshine, warmer again by Monday.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, we have some new video showing the moment the hatch of the Orion capsule was opened, welcoming Canadian Jeremy Hansen and the other Artemis 2 astronauts back to Earth. Take a look.
Sing it. Let's go!
Cheers were heard from the recovery crew, as you can hear, and from inside as fresh air filled that capsule for the first time in nearly 10 days. The crew was then greeted with enthusiastic handshakes. The celebrations came just moments after that capsule streaked back to Earth at blistering speeds before parachuting softly to what NASA called a bullseye landing. Wild. What an experience.
I was glued to this on Friday, this splashdown. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Great video, too.
Welcome back.
That's right.
All right. That does it for us tonight. Have a good evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.